worked in the oil industry for like almost 10 years before I decided, okay, I want to do my own tourism business. Luckily for me, I'd been able to save money working in oil for like 10 years. Of course, I had to save money. So for me, I had the money to start my business and grow it where I am today. But of course, it gets to the point that it needs to be sustainable. So last year, COVID happened. I believe that the tourism, travel, aviation, and hospitality industry were the biggest hit. Who agrees with me? Because we're not traveling, we're not buying food, we're not buying anything. We're all stuck in our houses. I remember we had like a town hall meeting in the tourism space, and we were talking about one issue: money, money, money. We know that a lot of governments around in other countries were giving out at least COVID-19 relief, right? Who got COVID-19 relief? If you got COVID-19 relief, please raise up your hand. One person. It's a serious matter. So for us in the tourism space, we heard that there was some COVID relief. I didn't get. They said some people got. Hallelujah. But we're like, come, if some of us have not gotten funds, what can we do to solve our problem? Some of us had to close shop. Some of us to today were not able to recover after COVID. So during the town hall meeting, I asked the question, what can we as a community do? Yes, the government is trying, other legislators are trying, but what can we do ourselves to make this funding matter solve a problem for us, which is a very big one. Like you always up your hand and say that you all need money for your business. And I asked, what do you guys think about crowdfunding? I said, crowdfunding, okay, not bad. I took that idea and I ran with it. So for me, I said, okay, fine. I want to start a crowdfunding platform. By the way, what is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is when you bring a large amount of people who will donate a relatively small amount just to help you raise money for your business. And most times that we have it now is done on the internet. But I decided to try something different. I said, okay, fine. I'm not ready to go online and share my money woes. I need to raise money for this platform. What can I do? Okay, let me start a traditional crowdfunding. That is, I'm not doing online. I'm not going to be doing it one-on-one. So I checked all my email list. I checked my phone. People that I've not spoken to for years. I had to start reaching out to their DMs, into their phone numbers to ask for funds. Let me be very honest with you. Asking was embarrassing. Very embarrassing, because I'm not used to asking. I'm used to like, I work, I get the money. But now I need help. It was embarrassing. The worst part was doing the follow-up. Oh, Jesus. Like, auntie, I remember I sent you a message from, okay, I'll get back to you. It was embarrassing. But by the end of the day, I was able to raise up to about $3,000. Please clap for me now. In 3 months. It's not small matter who can raise $3,000 in 3 months here. It wasn't easy, but what kept me going? Why did I keep asking people for this money for in 3 months? And even though I was embarrassed to ask them this money, by the way, it took me weeks before I could reach out to anyone. I knew I was doing something different, different in the tourism space, because I did my research. There are no companies that are doing anything Yeah, we had crowdfunding platforms, but there's nothing for the tourism space. And for me, I wanted to solve that problem. Now, why does this really matter in the tourism space? Why do I need to raise this fund? Why do I want to ensure that in the tourism space we have a reservoir where we can raise money for our projects, our initiatives? Tourism, do you know that it actually gives like 1 out of 10 jobs? What I'm talking about is not just travel agent tour operators, but even the Iya Basira that is selling rice. If we have tourists come to our locality and they are hungry, we don't go to Iya Basira. Answer me now. So you're providing a job for Iya Basira to be able to get people to buy from her. It provides 1 to 10 jobs. It also creates peace and security. How is that? When I know people are coming to my country and I provide everything that will make them come, I'm going to ensure that my locality, my people are actually okay. Let me give an example. In Rwanda now, they have a tour for gorillas. Gorillas that we have here in Cross River. To go and see this gorilla, it costs about $1,500 to just visit a gorilla. Who will go for that? Who will want to go? Nobody raise their hands. But guess what? The community members, they have taken it upon themselves to ensure that their community is safe for people like me to come and see these gorillas. And when you know that what you have, you're going to preserve it, you do everything to ensure that there's peace and security. Am I not right? Am I not right? Awesome. Economic growth, creating jobs. There's so many things that the tourism industry does. But if you cannot provide money, if there's no money for these tourism businesses to make this happen, then what are we doing? So for me, I had to research which African countries are doing quite well when it comes to tourism. And so far, these are the countries that are there. Unfortunately, Nigeria is not there because we don't have any data. But these are the countries I saw. Cape Verde, they are making almost 46.22% profits from tourism. Then we have Morocco, 18.9%. We have Seychelles, they're making about 65.8%. These are the highest, they're the ones making really money when it comes to tourism space. And I looked at my country, Nigeria. Look, every state in Nigeria has not one, not two, but many tourist sites. Who believes me? Like, okay, you in your country, your place, don't you have lovely sites that people will go and visit? There are many, but we're not utilizing them. And that's because there are no funds to help us develop these spaces. So for me, I said, fine, how can we create a new different way to raise funds for African tourism business that will help us in this post-pandemic time? And I said, okay, these are the innovative ways. I'm going to mention 3 innovative ways to help us create sustainable funding. It's not money that will come and go, money that will be sustainable. And these are my 3 points. The first one, tourism crowdfunding. That's the one I really wanted to focus on. And why tourism crowdfunding? Now, we have many tourism businesses that will go to banks and ask for loans, but because the tourism industry is seen as a long-term business, that they won't get sustainable or quick return of investment, right? So they're like, most of them will not give you those loans unless they can foresee it, which takes time. So that's why some people are doing crowdfunding. People are crowdfunding for their platforms. I did a research to find if there's any company in the world that is actually doing crowdfunding. And I found one in Slovenia. They're no longer in existence, but they're called Travel Starter. So what they do is that I am a tourism business owner. I am trying to, let's say I have an Airbnb and I want to fix my roof. Okay, I go to the crowdfunding platform. I say, okay, I'm raising money to fix my roof. If you come to my country and you're looking for where to stay, you stay for free. So this platform connected people with global travel owners and local communities to help them raise funds and of course to promote tourism in their space. And for me, this is one of the things I really like us to have in the tourism space to help us with raising funds. Then we have tourism banks. Like I had said, most banks, they see tourism as, this will take time. But there are countries that are doing it where they have tourism banks. One of them is First National Bank in Namibia. So what they have is that they have a tourism desk where you can come and ask for specific loans that will help you with the tourism businesses. Then we now have Sterling Bank, who came up last year during the pandemic to say they want to be known as a tourism bank. So recently, they did a tourism development initiative in Ekiti, where they gave tourism business owners at least loans with low interest rates, so it's easier for them to pay. If things like this are created for us, who will not go to the banks to go and take loan, right? So this is another thing I'm really trying to say, provide financial products that is a niche part for the tourism space. Then the third one I said, tourism incubators. Now there's so many incubators out there. I have tried for some and they've not been accepted, but I know the ones that have been accepted in, I know what I have gained and the money I have gotten there. But this is the problem. In the tourism space, most people don't really see tourism as something that, like I said, gets a quick return of investment. So most of these incubators don't really look at the tourism space. But if we can create that for ourselves, where we create a platform that will enable us to say, okay, we're going to coach people, we're going to help startups to be able to raise funds for their business, that would be nice. And one of the examples I found is tourism Entrepreneurship Network. What they do, they're in South Africa. What they do is that they reach out to young women in the tourism space who are startups, who need support, who need funding. They help them to be able to raise these funds. If we could create more of this in each country in Africa, that will help us raise funds, that we don't have to go to the abroad to be asking for funding. We can actually raise this fund within ourselves. So that's it. So what's next? The next new difference for the tourism funding in Africa, for me, is crowdfunding. The tourism bank is amazing, good. The tourism incubator is amazing, but this one is even more amazing because I have practiced it and I have seen the result. Like I said, I was able to raise $3,000. Imagine if I'd gone online and actually said, okay, I want to raise money. Now, why am I sharing this? So earlier this year, to celebrate World Tourism Day, I usually do what we have, the Tourism Virtual Summit. It's an annual summit where people come together in the tourism space, especially in Africa, to talk about the development and trends. And one of the things I decided to do was to start a tourism crowdfunding project. Let's practice this thing we want to preach. Let's see how we can help other tourism businesses raise money. And this is what I was able to do. So there are 3 steps that I usually recommend if you want to start this crowdfunding to raise money for yourself, to raise money for your business. And one is that your project must be innovative. If it's not solving a problem, people may not want to actually put money on it. So your idea must be creative enough for people to say, okay, I want to put my money down to support you. And what we did during our crowdfunding project was that we helped 4 tourism businesses to raise funds. First, we had Pyne Awards. He was in the documentary of Ajayi Crowther. So Ajayi Crowther was one of the first Anglican bishops in Africa who helped to spread Christianity. He wanted to do a documentary of him because this year we'll be celebrating his 200 years of slavery and about 150 years of promoting Christianity. So Mr. Pyne Awards' project is innovative because he's trying to preserve a culture, trying to preserve a line about somebody in the tourism space who promoted tourism through Christianity. Then we had Toke Fatoki. She has like an NGO and she's doing a movement called the 774 Community Development Project. What's this about? Recently, like before 2020, before COVID happened, this young lady had traveled to all the 36 states in Nigeria and visited a lot of tourism sites. So when she was done, she said, okay, what else can I do to promote tourism in Nigeria? And she said, okay, fine. I want to go to the 774 local governments in Nigeria and promote the tourist sites in those places. So she needed to raise funds for that. And one of the ways we helped her is to help her do crowdfunding to help her do that. Then the next person is, his name is Joseph Kafende. He's a Namibian. And he's trying to do a documentary that will talk about the untold African stories. So, when we hear about stories about Africa, what we hear is poverty, things that don't really portray us rightly. So for him, his documentary is going to make sure that he promotes every corner of tourism. Then we have Shikemi Federo. She did a project for Tambolo Christian travel book, Tambolo Children Travel Book. So what she's trying to do is to promote tourist destinations in Africa. And her first country is Nigeria. She said she wants children to read about these places because when we read about other countries, we don't really find anything about Africa. So that was her own project. Please, are these projects, are they innovative? Are they solving a problem? So that means if you want to raise funds for your business, even if you go to the bank now and you don't tell them your project is not innovative, they won't even fund you. So the same thing with crowdfunding. Then for me, or from what I have learned, if you want to do a crowdfunding, it comes with the word crowd. If you don't have a crowd, if you don't have a community to help you raise this fund, then you're not able to raise the fund you're looking for. Because without the crowd, the campaign cannot work. So for me, one of the things I did to help these tourism businesses to be able to gather people was hosting my tourism virtual summit like I mentioned earlier. So we gather people in the tourism space in Africa. There are people that we know that at the end of the day, after hearing their stories, they will say, okay, fine, we want to back this fund, we want to back this project, we want to give them funding. So community is very important if you want to raise funds through crowdfunding. Then of course you have the idea, you have the community, but you also have people out there who don't really know you. How would they know that you're doing this crowdfunding campaign? And one of the ways you have to do is use platforms like social media, email marketing, virtual summits like I did. You need to build your crowd through the social platforms you have. And from there, you can get more people to see your project and of course to support you and also fund you. Now, please, I want you to note this. Crowdfunding is not a replacement for financial institutions. Like I mentioned earlier, we can talk about tourism banks where the financial institutions can actually provide funds with low interest for the tourism space. But what I'm trying to share here is this. We need to encourage other people to support other people. We're talking about community. We're talking about a new different. If the banks are not giving us the kind of money we're looking for, if the incubators are not really looking at the tourism businesses, we can actually use ourselves to raise this money. This idea came when we had that town hall meeting where I asked, how can we work together to help us raise funds? And that's where crowdfunding comes in. I also want you to see it as this. It's not for you, it's not a begging scheme. I'll say that again. It's not a begging scheme. If you have an idea, an innovative idea, a new different idea that you know that, okay, this is going to help me raise the funds I'm looking for, then please, crowdfunding is a good way for you to start that. Now, to wrap this up, I want to say this. Let's be the change in Africa. Africa, we're always looking for how the diaspora can help us, people abroad can help us. Let's work together ourselves to raise this money, to raise these funds, to build our community, and it will help us achieve our dreams that we're looking for. And I believe that crowdfunding is one of the ways we can do that, where we can come together as Africans, as brothers and sisters in our continent, to help us raise funds for our project that we're looking for. And not having to always go to outside looking for funds, or even going to the banks to be able to look for these funds. Now to end this, I want to share a quote I recently heard that made me smile. Now tourism, where they bring billions, now we want to talk about. And let me interpret for those who may not understand who are watching. It's tourism that will bring us billions. That's the one we want to talk about. Adupe, Dalu, Nagode. Thank you for having me.